From 1760 I was born. And this here, this is Louisa Adams, otherwise known as Mammy. And we are a blast from the past.
I was born in Rockingham, Richmond County, North Carolina, 1764.
I came over here on the slave ships. I came here, locked up. And now I was purchased by a man named George Washington. Otherwise known now, I was his white privilege of a black nigger in this place. I became a caricature in this here place of this American colony where I had to trust and jive, being a happy nigger. But I tell you one thing, I was never happy being a slave.
When I was 8 years old was when the Yankees came through. My master was Tom A. Covington. When I was old enough, I got sent into the big house. They made me nurture and care for their family and their children. I was also made a caricature of a black woman with a wide grin, supposedly signifying a woman of loyal servitude and a happy slave. I was never once happy. I was suffering, living in a house, taking care of children who were not my own. Nothing was funny about taking care of children when I could not care for my own.
But guess what now? We here now. We came to the future to see our babies, our black and brown babies, do their damn thing here. That's right, y'all.
My goodness, Demo, you are so right. I am so happy to see how far they have come. They are now educators, doctors, and big stars. Here comes some now.
This performance for all things Black history. TV performance on the lit, yo. That's right, I'm about to show out. Child pie, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of all this black stuff.
What?
Wait, what?
Yeah,
My parents are working, can't watch Black Girl and Black Boy Matter. I bet your mom took the audience. Okay, and? Point stop, let's go.
Do you hear this, baby?
I heard that for sure. We have to show these children a glimpse of our and their history.
Let's go, let's go.
Yeah, got freedom. Yeah. All right, what say about it? Ain't got no halo. No wings to fly away. I've got to labor. For many, many days.
God-man
I'm told the God-man
died for my liberty.
died for my liberty. He heard me crying from my captivity, and so he came down to deliver me. Whoa, from the shores of Africa to the doors of America, with voices to heaven, pray for liberty. We cry freedom. Yeah, we cry freedom. Oh, we cry freedom. Yeah, we cry freedom. My heart cries freedom. Your heart cries freedom. His heart cries freedom. Our heart cries freedom. Woo! I'm gonna get my shout on. I'm gonna get my shout on. I'm gonna get my shout on. Yeah. Yeah. Come on, y'all, shout with me. He said, he who the Son sets free is free indeed. Y'all didn't hear me. I said, he who the Son sets free is free indeed. Let me hear you say freedom. Freedom. Freedom.
It breaks my heart that they don't know where we have come from.
I don't think you understand how hard it is to witness these children having to be a part of a society where they sweep all of our Black history under the rug of white supremacy. They have no idea what it was like. Come on, Pooh. Come here.
I'm so sorry. I did not know. I did not know about the Black history. I did not know it's so deep. I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah? Well, who are we? You don't know, do you?
I have to learn. I
Ah,
have to.
don't worry. We're gonna show you. Let's go. Let's go. We're gonna take you on this journey of Africa.
In the beginning, before slavery began, we were kings and queens under the African sun. Royalty is the origin of our native land. For every girl, boy, woman, and man, the celebration went on for many a day, with dancing and festivities the African way.
Dum 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 Dum
The Middle Passage was a stage of the Atlantic slave trade in which millions of enslaved Africans were abducted and forcibly transported to the Americas as part of the triangular slave trade. Slave ships transported the human beings as cargo in wretched conditions. Males and females were separated across the Atlantic. Mortality was high. Those with strong bodies survived. Young females were raped by the crew. The proceeds from sales of the enslaved Africans were then used to buy hides, tobacco, sugar, rum, and raw materials, which would be transported back to Northern Europe. Disease spread rapidly in the tightly packed, poor ventilated areas. Within the ships where the slaves were kept, often killing many of them. When they died, they were thrown overboard. As time went on, slave traders built ships with better ventilation, therefore decreasing the spread of disease. Since slaves were considered as cargo, they did not want the slave to die or to get ill. It was not out of compassion, but rather out of desire to protect their cargo and to generate a profit.
Mammy's father was sold at the auction block to Robert Ruffing Barrow. He was an American plantation owner who owned more than 450 slaves and a dozen plantations. Sambo had a cousin named Harriet, and she was a feisty one. She would always get everyone riled up about being free one day. She would say, "I have to get out of here, and when I do, I'm coming back for you."
Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I had to. I do what I can when I can when I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. There's been a drought for way too long. We need to sing out your song. Oh Lord, we need a touch from you. We really need a touch from you. Lord, we need to hear your voice. Our hearts are open, we have no choice. Oh Lord, we need a touch from you. We really need a touch from you. Send your last rain, send your last rain, send your last rain, send your last rain. No other one will ever do. We need your presence in this house. We need your power singing now. Sing it out. Just one touch of you, Jesus. Restore our hearts again. Lord, keep it from you. No other one will ever do. Oh Lord, we need a touch from you. We really need a touch from you.
Slaves picked cotton for long hours in the hot, scorching sun. It was a tedious task. Their hands were cut and bleeding from picking cotton due to the outcoverings of the cotton known as the cottonseed hulls. Following the War of 1812, cotton became a key cash crop of the Southern economy and the most important American commodity. By 1850, 1.8 million of the 3.2 million slaves on plantations that were in 15 states produced cotton, and by 1860, slave labor produced over 2 billion pounds of cotton annually. This is a moment in history.
White Americans used lynching to terrorize and control Black people into submission and into an inferior racial caste position. There were so many that there was no formal tracking of inhumane brutality. Historians believe that the true number of lynchings are dramatically underreported. According to the Guardian paper in Montgomery, Alabama, victims would be seized and subjected to every imaginable manner of physical torment, with the torture usually ending with being hung on a tree and set on fire. More often than not, victims would be dismembered and pieces of their flesh and bone would be taken as souvenirs by those who committed those heinous crimes.
Jeremiah Slay is a student here at Mass High School and the descendant of Emmett Till. His grandmother was 2 years old when Emmett was murdered. As she got older, her family informed her of the tragedy, and as Jeremiah grew up, his grandmother informed him that Emmett Till was his third cousin. Emmett Till's uncle was Jeremiah's grandmother's grandfather's brother, 3 generations. Although Emmett didn't have an opportunity to live to graduate from high school, Jeremiah will live his life in memory of him and go on to be a successful adult, making a positive contribution to society. Jeremiah is Emmett's wildest dreams. Sarah Sergi Bartman was born in South Africa in 1789. She was one of the first Black women known to be subjected to human sexual trafficking. A contract was offered to Sarah to come to Ireland and Europe, for where she would work as a domestic servant since technically slavery had been abolished in Great Britain. The contract stated after 5 years she would be able to return to South Africa. That never happened. She would be exhibited for entertainment purposes. She was derisively named the Hottentot Venus by Europeans, as her body would be publicly examined and exposed inhumanly throughout the duration of her young life. Moreover, her experience reinforced the already existing and extremely negative sexual fascination with African women bodies by the people of Europe. Sarah Bartman died in Paris on December 29, 1815, at the age of 26 of polio and syphilis. Even after her death, many of her body parts would go on display at the Musée de l'Homme, Museum of Man, in Paris to support racist theories about people of African ancestry. Some of the body parts remained on display until 1974. In 1994, South African President Nelson Mandela formally requested that Bartman's remains be returned to South Africa. On March 6, 2002, her remains were returned and buried at Henke in the Eastern Cape Province. To this day, Sarah Bartman is a historical icon in South Africa, and her name is over a school district there, the Sarah Bartman District Academy Primary and Secondary School.
Black massacres just didn't occur in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921. There were many more black massacres to come. Some like Chicago in 1919, Springfield 1908, St. Louis East 1917, Vicksburg 1874, Stockholm 1910, Colfax 1873, Clinton 1875, Rosewood 1923, Camilla 1868, Charleston 2015, Atlanta 1906, Wilmington 1898, Philadelphia 1985, Memphis 1866, Washington 1999, Detroit 1943, New York 1863. There are many more black massacres for it to come, and still existing today.
Once upon a time, there was a nursery book that was read to white children to teach them how to count from 1 to 10. It was published in the 1800s. The name of the book was 10 Little Nigger Boys. The full rhyme is, 10 little nigger boys went out to dine. 1 choked himself, and then there were 9. 9 little nigger boys sat up very late. 1 overslept himself, and then there were 8. 8 little nigger boys traveling in Devon. 1 said he'd stay there, and then there were 7. 7 little nigger boys chopping up sticks. 1 chopped himself in half, and then there were 6. 6 little nigger boys playing with a hive. A bumblebee stung 1, and then there were 5. 5 little nigger boys going in for law. 1 got in chancery, and there were 4. 4 little nigger boys going out to sea. A red herring swallowed one, and then there were 3. 3 little nigger boys walking in a zoo. A big bear hugged one, and then there were 2. 2 little nigger boys sitting in the sun. One got frizzled up, and then there were 1. 1 little nigger boy living all alone. He got married, and then he got hung. The despicable teaching to innocent children about young black boys. This is embedded racism. This was one of the books that white children learned how to count from 1 to 10 from in the 1800s to the 1900s.
There is over 70 African American inventors on this list. I like to highlight inventor and businessman Alexander Miles. He was born May 18, 1838. He was best known for being awarded in patent on October 11, 1887, at the age of 49 years old for automatically opening and closing elevator doors. He died on May 7, 1918. He was 80 years old. That is a moment in history.
Elizabeth Jennings Graham was an African-American teacher and civil rights figure. Before Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a public bus to a white person in Montgomery, Alabama, Elizabeth Jennings Graham insisted on her right to ride on an available New York City streetcar at the time when most companies operated segregated cars. It was a Sunday morning, July 16, 1854, and she was running late for church. The conductor ordered her to get off the train, and when she refused, she was removed by force. The incident sparked an organized movement around black New Yorkers to end racial discrimination on streetcars. Her case, which was Jennings v. 3rd Avenue Railroad, was decided in her favor in 1855, and it led to the eventual desegregation of all New York City transit systems by 1865. Jennings went on to start the city's first kindergarten for African American children, operating from her home on 247 West 41st Street in Manhattan until her death in 1901.
We are on the shoulders of our ancestors because we are their wildest. When you know their struggle, it's impossible not to continue the journey as ace. Even as Harriet helped thousands of slaves through the Underground Railroad, there are thousands more that didn't make into our history. That is a moment of history.
Happy Black History Month. Over the past years and decades, Black people have made tremendous strides into influencing and changing how the world operates. More importantly, many Black people have strived to put a change into the uncalled for racism and stereotypes infiltrated in our communities. From rappers to hoopers to entertainers, chefs, pastors, teachers, and so much more. Almost makes me wonder, what would our ancestors think today about today's society? I have a question for you. Have you or your actions made our ancestors who suffered to the end of their life cycle proud, or at least put a smile on their face? I'm sure our ancestors would grin at MLK, maybe smirkle at Rosa Parks and her voice, refusing to give her seat on the bus. Would they be intrigued by Malcolm X with his sense of violence to fight against racism? As our ancestors looked down from the heavens when George Floyd took his last breath because of a white man having his knee on his neck, or a mob being gunned down as he was jogging, would you think the lynchings are still going on? The most unimaginable thing they could see is a black on black crime. Us killing us hurting us. What I mean is us as a community fighting against each other, killing each other over things that can't possibly be more important than us coming together and being great. I'm sure they couldn't wrap their head around it. It made them sad, it made them hurt. Although they see these things and also see the positives, things such as Black kids learning and getting an education in a way that they couldn't imagine. As I see us striving for change and greatness, they see all their descendants all over the world being the best that we can be no matter what, and to that they were proud. Overall, proud of the changes made in society and knowing that we could do so much more and make them proud. Let's never forget the pain and suffering that they endured for us to have a better opportunity to discover our passion and be greater because we are their wildest dreams.
Black History Month, a month of not just honoring, but paying respects to those who stood up to the conquering. Medgar Evers was an activist. The fight for education, that was no accident, as he remained to be passionate for the young and the youth, spoke the truth just like Sojourner Truth, as she fought against the union and abuse, advocated for women's rights and did not let her color be an excuse. Oh, Langston Hughes? He was a huge man in his own time, a Renaissance poet in his own pride, who started from the bottom and rose up all the way to stardom, saw his own story blossom and gave it all in for Harlem. Yet this ain't all there is to it. We honor those both small and big names that provided and never quit. Small names like Breonna Taylor and Trayvon Martin who would take it from us. They sparked the outrage and all of the fuss with many of us. They gave us the right to fight and the meaning to discuss. They remind us every day that in God we trust. As it is survival of the fittest, we must learn and adjust. Every day our life is crushed, and those of the remembering. We will forever rise up and not be of the censoring. Now listen, a month of not just excellence, that is what it's referred to. Remember the history and all that's occurred too. Times have changed, and that's not the absurd news. Now rise up and make yourself heard too.
We all heard about Black Lives Matter and all of the nonsense that went around. I wrote a poem about it. If you know this isn't right, you would help us fight for our rights. But yet every day there's another battle, another fight. People are losing their friends and families, but yet we're always the enemy. We started Black Lives Matter for justice and peace, but now all lives matter like we don't already know that. All we want is our voices heard and our lives valued. All we want is our tears seen, but they are overlooked, just like all the seeds of hatred and death by the hands of our supposed protectors. Lives were lost and tears were shed, but yet we're the ones who end up dead. Stop the violence, stop the hate, because not again are we going to be silenced.
Wasn't everyone created equal, with the same emotions and same blood? Then how did it end up as a sequel of never-ending hate and war that started 1,000 years ago but never stopped? So, who started this? Humanity. And who's suffering? Humanity. So, who can stop it then? Humanity. We are the ones that can end the difference and rise awareness, that can make changes among wide ranges. Again, we are the ones that can end this war and build a better place for us.
I must let you know that this poem was written by Zola Henry. In his absence, he has asked me to read on his behalf. Again, the title, Paving the Way. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams, to go above and beyond the limits imposed, to carry on, persevere and preserve the legacy left behind. We should always keep that in mind, encouraging one another in a world that may plunder. It's the only way to attack unseen sights. Advocacy will echo our humanity, and the oppression that still exists today will heal. They expect us to sit and obey, but we are paving our own way. We are all the dark brothers and sisters. We too are singing America. We will continue to rise up and uncover their bitter, twisted lies. Like a mother to son, she's experienced the rocky stairs. So son, take notes. Pave your own way, one step at a time. Zola Henry.
Well, there's a bridge and there's a river that I still must cross as I'm going on my journey. Or I might be lost, and there's a road I have to follow, a place I have to go. But no one told me just how to get there. But when I get there, I know, 'cause I'm taking it step by step.
period dance class. Come on out. Yeah. Have my after school program coming out. Let me have my backstage crew coming out. Let me have my narrators, my hosts, and my actors come on out. And last but certainly not least, the art department for their wonderful decor. And our leading man and lady, Sambo, Mr. Reed, and Nanny, Nevaeh. So can I just give some props here to my assistant, Devin? Devin was my student 2 years ago. He graduated. He's an amazing dancer, and we were able to bring him back to assist me 3 days a week for the dance classes. So give it up for Devin. Thank you.
Hi everyone, did you enjoy the show? You guys did an amazing job, and we want to present Ms. Victor, Mr. Reed, and Ms. Richardson with flowers. It's not enough, but we want to express to you how much we appreciate each and every one of you, from stage crew, poets, artists, dancers. You guys did an amazing job with multiple challenges, but you fought through them, and you really helped to show us and to celebrate Black history, which is American history. And you also gave us the diversity of moving from queendom and kingdom, the challenges of slavery, and coming back for us to be our ancestors' wildest dreams. And we appreciate you. Can we give it up for our performing arts?
Can I just give it up for my sound and audio and tech, Mr. Johnson and Jaleel, who stepped up at the very last minute. Where you at, Jaleel? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Come on down, Jaleel. Jaleel did the sound, the music, the editing. I can't even tell you, it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a team to make the dream work. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you guys. You did an excellent job. Thank you.
One other thing, we want to make sure that we acknowledge the artists. So the artists that are in the space, can we give it up for the following? And we're going to ask you to please stand, do the famous wave real quick, and make your way to the front. Faria Tanisha, can we give it up for her? Rahat Khalid, Rebecca Bintahol, Jaleel McIntosh, Amina Hassaneh, and Joy Adiba. Where are you? Please stand. Can we give it up for them, guys? I don't know if many of you know, but putting on a show is very difficult. As a performer, this is really hard, and thank you for being a great audience, but also thank you for your understanding. You don't know all that it takes to get all of this done behind the scenes, but we appreciate everything you guys have done. Let's give it up one more time before we get ready for dismissal.
We all bleed the same. We're more beautiful when we come together. We all bleed the same. So tell me why we're divided.
Woke up today, another headline, another innocent life is taken in the name of hatred.